that you're better? Well, you better get ready. Bow to the masters.
You already know what time it is. Welcome back to the SPT Podcast, Sports Pop Talk Radio. I am your host, RC. You can follow me on Twitter at RCTweeted. And of course, you can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at SPT Podcast. Also, you can follow the show on Facebook and YouTube at Sports Pop Talk Radio. Coming to you today with the Eastern and Western Conference review, about a quarter of the season through. And one of the big surprises we have in the East would be the demise of the Washington Wizards. Of course, acquiring Dwight Howard and him being injured at the beginning of the season was not easy for them to withhold, as they are now 3-9, sitting towards the bottom of the East. Not looking good for them, as they might need to blow things up. As I said in my NBA preview, I thought they would be maybe an 8 seed, maybe a 6 seed, but it's looking like they're going to miss out on the playoffs this year and have to blow things up, maybe trading Bradley Beal or John Wall if someone will take on that contract, and starting things anew. And another big surprise in the East is Boston Celtics sitting at the 6th seed right now, where in my NBA preview I had them winning the East. Of course, sitting at the 6th seed at 7-6 right now, starting out slow, trying to incorporate Gordon Hayward hasn't been very easy for them, and a slow start from Kyrie Irving maybe hampered their start to the season, but I do see them climbing up to at least the 3 seed, possibly the 4 seed, and being a very tough out in the playoffs, and still probably making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And at the 4 seed, we have the Indiana Pacers, which I thought would be about a 4 seed, and they're sitting there at 8-6, playing well and doing everything they need to do to be a tough team going towards the end of the season and being a tough out in the first round of the playoffs. Now, we have the 3 seed Philadelphia 76ers just acquiring Jimmy Butler via trade from the Minnesota Timberwolves, having to give up Dario Saric and Robert Covington, not having to give up a first round pick, which was huge for them. I thought when acquiring a talent such as Jimmy Butler, maybe a top 20 player in the league, you'd have to give up that first round pick, but they were able to hold on to it, just giving up Saric and Covington, and making a big 3 of Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and Jimmy Butler in the East should be enough to have them competing for a top seed in the East and competing for a championship in the East as well. So we will see how that chemistry pans out. With the 2nd seed, we got Milwaukee Bucks and early MVP candidate Giannis Antetokounmpo playing at a high level, of course. Like I said, adding Brook Lopez was going to give him an advantage, pulling that center out and allowing him to dominate the paint at a very efficient and high rate. Also, Brook Lopez dropping 8 threes last night, tying the record for most 3-pointers by a 7-footer in a game, is something that the Bucks were looking forward to, and has them at the 2nd seed. So that's very good for them, and I see them keeping it up and finishing with the 2nd or 3rd seed in the East. And now at the number 1 seed, of course, we have the Kawhi Leonard-led Toronto Raptors. Even with Kawhi sitting out a few games to rest, the Raptors are able to hold it down at the 1 seed, 12-1 record, playing extremely well. Serge Ibaka doing well in the paint, and Kyle Lowry playing at a high level. I see the Raptors finishing probably with the number 1 seed and being in the Eastern Conference Finals. competing against either the 76ers, Bucks, or Boston Celtics. So Toronto holding it down at the 1 seed. And of course, in the West, we have at the top the Golden State Warriors at 11-2, doing what they do, running their system. Steph Curry playing at an MVP level, Klay Thompson having a few big games, Draymond Green playing defense, and the rest of the team playing Warriors basketball, holding it down at the 1 seed with a 2 seed and 3 seed of Portland and Denver. Two teams I said would be right there at the top. Portland with Damian Lillard, of course, and CJ McCollum backcourt. Joseph Nurkic down low, doing what they need to do to be the 2 seed with a 10-3 record. And of course, the Denver Nuggets, 3 seed, 9-4. Very good young talent. And as I said, Nikola Jokic, one of the most underrated big men in the league, a great passer, playing at a really high level, and could see him making his first All-Star game. And at the 4 seed, we have the San Antonio Spurs, who I said would be a 2 seed before I saw that Dejounte Murray was out for a long portion of the season with the ACL injury. But even with that, the Spurs are able to sit at the 4 seed with DeMar DeRozan playing at a high level, fitting in really well in the Greg Popovich system. And I see them finishing with about a 4 to 6 seed and being a tough out in the first round of the playoffs. Another team I was looking forward to seeing in the playoffs, a little bit higher than the 7 seed, would be the OKC Thunder. Started out slow with Russell Westbrook being out due to injury. Now that he is back, they are 7-5, sitting at the 7 seed. And I see them climbing up a bit, probably to about the 5 seed in the West. And another team everyone was talking about, of course, the LA Lakers, sitting right at the 8 seed. The acquisition of LeBron James always puts you in a playoff position, but the play of JaVale McGee actually on the defensive end, and the young guys, of course, Kuzma, Hart, and Lonzo Ball stepping up and playing well, has got them at 8 seed. I see them finishing right about the 8 seed and making the playoffs and having a tough first round opponent being possibly the Warriors or Denver Nuggets. So we'll see what they can do in that type of series. And another surprise team I thought would be doing much better than right now would be the Utah Jazz, sitting outside of the playoffs, 1 game back with a 6-6 record. I see them improving throughout the season, having a rough start, but having a team that should be in the playoff mix for sure at the end of the season. It's still early, like I said, about a quarter of the season through, so I do see them overtaking a team like the Clippers at the 6th seed and sneaking their way into the playoffs and being a very tough opponent for any team really in the Western Conference. Also, a very disappointing team, I'll throw this in at the end, would be the Houston Rockets, losing 2 of their best defenders in Mba Amute and Trevor Ariza. Picking up Carmelo Anthony was not what they expected, and they sit 2 games out of the 8th seed with a 5-7 record. I do see them playing better than they have been playing, but they are on the brink of not making the playoffs. So we will see. I'm sure they'll have some type of trade or acquisition where they might have some fresh legs brought in and are able to grab one of the lower seeds in the West. And that's a breakdown of my NBA quarter mark review. Let me know what you guys think. Following on Twitter and Instagram at SPT Podcast, and of course on Facebook and YouTube at Sports Pop Talk Radio. You already know what it is. I'm out.